My next guest is coming off a no contest against Nikolas Motta at UFC Fight Night, November 18th. We're here to hear what the latest is on that. Very controversial what happened in that fight. It's Trey Ogden here on the program. Trey, how are you considering everything that happened in your last fight?
I'm doing great. I mean, I had a great performance. I'm healthy. So I'm choosing to focus on that because that's the truth of what happened. And I said this
Yeah.
in the UFC's post-fight interview, that unfortunately, like, the narrative of the fight is going to be, sorry, I'm trying to figure out this lighting here. There
Oh,
we
no
go.
worries. All good.
The narrative of the fight is going to be about the no contest and not the performance and fight that took place. So I'm trying. So, and in the initial weeks, so I fight on Saturday. Monday is Thanksgiving week, and the UFC and the Athletic Commission was gone. So basically, like, that whole week that I sat with literally no resolution at all, I my mind was pulled out of the experience of the fight and the performance of the art and the expression of that itself. And that was, like, probably the saddest thing to me was, like, I didn't get that dopamine rush from winning a fight that I did win, and then I didn't get to, like, sit in the moment of the experience of the fight, which was a beautiful fight. It was a beautiful experience, a beautiful fight week. It was one of my favorite fight weeks. It was an amazing weight cut. Um, I was in a really great place for the weight cut spiritually, and they are spiritual events for me now. And it just went so beautiful and smooth, and the fight went amazing. And then, like, that happened. And so, so much of the experience of the fight got kind of overshadowed, even in my own mind, based on what's going to happen. Like, and so then the Monday after Thanksgiving week, the Athletic Commission met and upheld the no contest. So by the time I got there, I'm 8 days out of the fight, and I didn't really care what the Athletic Commission says. Like, who cares? Like, I'm dealing with the government. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? I have my
Yeah.
expectations are pretty low, so I don't really care what they think. Like, they can say whatever on a piece of paper they want, but what I cared about all along is the UFC going to treat me like I won or not? Because these are
Exactly. Yeah.
two different organizations. The ref works for the Athletic Commission, not the UFC. A lot of people, like fans, don't realize that is that the ref is part of the Athletic Commission, and the Athletic Commission is actually the state government. This is the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So this is the government, and so, like, I don't care what they say. I care how does the UFC treat me and view my performance. And so then we have not been told. I have not received the win money, but I have not been told that I'm officially not going to yet. So essentially, what I'm being told is that. So after we got that ruling from the Athletic Commission, we had to then formally ask the UFC for the win money, which we did. And where that stands right now is that that this has to be escalated all the way to Dana. So it's sitting on Dana's desk. He's got a lot going on, so it's like I can't
Yeah.
imagine the little joke I keep saying. I just can't imagine, like, when he looks at his to-do list, because I know what my to-do list looks like every day. And this is freaking Dana White. So whatever's on his to-do list, I can't imagine how high this is. So I don't think that I'm going to have like resolution on a satisfactory timeline, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it sucks that, like, you didn't do anything wrong. Like, you did your job in the cage. You look great.
It's
You were on your
frustrating.
way to
Yeah.
winning. And again, I think for those who don't know, what should have happened in this case was if the ref made a bad call, they should have just gone to the scorecards, and that's
Yeah.
where you would have won the fight, right? I
Yeah.
think that's pretty obvious to anyone watching that. You mentioned the UFC, it's kind of in limbo right now. What about the fan feedback? I feel like a lot of people saw that, talked about being one of the worst stoppages ever. It seemed like there was a lot of support there. What does that side of things look like?
Uh, like the internet went hard for me.
Yeah.
It's the nicest the internet has ever been to me ever.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, when you're in the UFC and you lose a fight, like, the internet is over the top mean
Oh,
to
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And like, just vicious. And not only in comments, but in your DMs. It's crazy. And so I've been on the other end of that. And so to see, like, such overwhelming support, everybody thought that it was a fantastic fight, fantastic performance. I dominated the fight. Everybody's unanimously saying that they should pay me. I felt like Paul Felder felt like that was correct in the cage when I said in the Octagon interview that, I hope I get my win money. The whole Apex, like, did like a standing ovation. And so you know I do feel like that the fans are on my side and that everybody is on my side, and I am very grateful that we got to like a concluding moment of the fight late in the fight, so that it's very obvious. I'm glad that this wasn't like an eye poke 2 minutes into the first round,
Exactly. Yeah,
because
exactly. Yeah.
like I dominated my opponent for 13 minutes. I broke him. He was dead underneath me. I felt it. I felt this a bunch of times. Been fighting a long time, where they accept that they're gonna go get taken out. It's like when you see an animal try to get away from a predator, and then at a certain point before the animal dies, it just surrenders. It just stops trying to get away. It just accepts it. So fighting's kind of like that. You feel when people are ready to be taken out, and he had hit his breaking moment, and I locked up the choke, and I had it, and I know I had it. And then there was a small adjustment that needed to be made on the choke. I know the adjustment to be made, but when Mike Beltran said, "Nikolas, show me you're still there," I thought to myself, there's a lot of times you see people in like the training room or in fighting or whatever, where they have a submission and somebody's about to tap, they like raise their hand to tap, but the person who has the submission, like they don't see it because of like the way that's lined up. They can't see that the person was about to tap, and then they readjust, and then blood goes back up into the person's head, and they don't know, like, oh, you were just 2 seconds away. So when I hear the referee start talking to the opponent, I know this must be in. And like, so I just locked it down. I was like, no adjustments. You're just gonna hold this for a few more seconds and see if you get Nick out of here, because it must be like close, or the ref wouldn't be talking to him. And I did hear Nick snoring. He was making snoring sounds. So I just locked it down. But I know that if the ref wouldn't have communicated to us, that I would have made the last little like cinch in, and I would have put him away. So in my mind, I won the fight. I dominated the fight, and I did everything I could do in my power.
What do you make of him already getting rebooked for a fight? I think he's fighting on January 13th, when you were pretty much the guy that won that fight.
Well, I don't want to fight January 13th because that's in 7 weeks. So he has to leave a very tough fight, a fight camp, skip the holidays, get back
True.
in a fight camp with a very bruised up, banged up face. Like he has to be sore. I hit him a lot. And then be ready to make weight again in 7 weeks, and then fight a tough fight. So he has to say yes. He has no options here. So he's very lucky that like he got a lifeline. Like he was about to get taken off the battlefield in my mind. I don't think they would have re-signed him if I submitted him. And then the no contest happened, and this is like they're not going to cut him off a no contest, which I think shows good on the UFC. I think that's good of them to. But the flip side of that is you're back to work. You're back in camp on Monday. And now it's sink or swim, and that's what you're going into the holidays in. And I'm going into the holidays on a win, eating my holiday food, and stuff like that. So it doesn't offend me that he got that fight, because it's not like an opportunity that I wanted. Like, I don't want to fight 6 weeks, 7 weeks after a fight at this stage in my career, for sure. So best case scenario is he goes out here and starts knocking people out, like, and my stock continues to go up. So all the people I beat, I wish the best for them.
Yeah, absolutely. When would you like to get back in there, if you could kind of do? And has the UFC kind of? I know you mentioned Dana's still figuring out the win thing, but
Yeah.
as far as like when you want to fight, I know your contract. I think you have one fight left, if I'm not mistaken.
That was the last fight on my
So that was the last one. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So I guess you're kind of in limbo with that too, waiting to see what the UFC is doing with you at this point.
Yeah, I have pretty much been told that my spot on the roster is staying, and that
Awesome.
I mean, obviously, if they're going to give Motta another fight, like Trey's going to get another fight too. So they are going to re-sign me to a new contract. We just haven't got there yet. Basically, when that got brought to my attention, it was like, hey, when do you want to fight again? Like, that was kind of how that conversation came to me. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like what to do, like what I should do. I feel like I'm in a really cool spot in my life and in my career, because I feel like I could stop fighting right now, and I'm perfectly healthy, and I am going to move right into coaching. Like I'll never be off the scene at all. Like very smooth transition time for me. I'm also in my competitive prime, and I do know I'm still on the roster. So I feel like I could make a run at the top 10 if I really wanted to. Like if that's what like I really wanted to do. I also feel like it's an option for me to focus on building the coaching and fight much less frequent, but just stay on the roster and stay fighting and kind of fight when I want to and focus on coaching. I also think there's a lot of opportunity for me to do competitive BJJ, and I'm looking to try to get on some of the Fight Pass invitationals and stuff. And I think that that's going to work out for me as well. I have a lot of things I want to accomplish in no-gi grappling. Like I do want to do the ADCC trials and the IBJJF Worlds and some super matches and stuff on Fight Pass. I could do all of this at the same time. I could do any one of them. Like I just feel, I feel like I spent a lot of my career like trying to come up, and just struggling, and like everything was such a struggle, and I felt like I didn't have like a lot of options. And right now I feel like I actually have it all. I could do anything I want, and I'm capable of doing any of it. And so what I'm trying to do in this season is trying to sort out exactly what is my next move, like what vision of those several things, which path do I want to go. Do I want to start fighting as hard as I can and just see how far I can get? Do I want to stop fighting and focus on coaching and just you know it's like I always told myself that I'm not going to stop fighting. I'm not going to be the guy that hangs around too long. I want to train at a high level for my whole life. Like I can't picture myself being spiritually fulfilled if I had like significant brain damage and like just navigating my life was somewhat more difficult, or if I had like a lot of like injuries where my body was just kind of like used up, like my joints and stuff, and like where like my knees are like Kamaru Usman, where it's like training isn't going to be fun for him at 40, 45. Like I don't have a vision of myself at 45, 50, like not like smashing these 25-year-olds into the mat every day. So, it's very important to me that I don't use my whole machine up in competition, because it's just like one piece of what I'm trying to do. Like I'm like it's just one piece. Like, and I've said this since the beginning, like competing for me is just one part of the mission. Like I want to master the patterns of martial arts and teach it to as many people as I can, competitors and non-competitors. And I want to change the standard of like what the current martial arts curriculum is like. And I'm very focused on that, and I think that that's what I'm supposed to do. Now all the other things, coaching, running a gym, competing, jujitsu competing, all of this is to me has always been part of the one mission. So I was a martial artist as a lifestyle long before competing, and I will be a martial artist as a lifestyle long after competing. And so right now I'm just trying to figure out what to do, if that makes sense. Because a lot of fighting for me was a spiritual journey, and I wanted to know that I had mastered myself in the moment of a fight, one, and that two, I knew as a coach and as a martial artist, like what is the thing that we're actually trying to do? Like I know theories, like I want to really know firsthand, like what is this? And so I feel like this last fight was like like I'm fulfilled in what I have done from that regard. And so now it's just kind of like, do I want to fight to continue to build the gym? Do I want to fight for money because now I can make some money doing it and I'm still good to go? Like I'm in my prime. I feel very capable. Or do I want to fight for the experience of it? Because I do really like the experience of the weight cut and the presence of mind that I have to be in to make the weight and to fight at an elite level and to test my warrior spirit in this way. It's a beautiful experience when you get over the stress of it. And I'm in that sweet spot. So long-winded answer, man. I just feel like I kind of have the martial arts world by the tail, and I can kind of do anything that I want to do. And I'm just trying to figure out where to apply my energy, what makes the most sense.
It's good to have options, and certainly seems like you have that. And again, I'm sure it'll be one of those situations where, hey, if a fight's offered, maybe there's like a sign, like maybe I should take this fight. So
Right.
I think it's obviously good to have that. I was going to ask you, by the way, because you just reminded me about coaching. Are you going to corner Garrett Armfield in Toronto because he's got that fight with Brad Katona?
Of course, yes, sir.
Okay, well then I'll see you there. So
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
man, good.
Yeah, I just
Totally.
thought of that. I forgot Garrett was on that card, and I know obviously
Yeah.
there's only a couple of marathon guys in the UFC, so that's pretty
Yep.
sweet. Yeah, so I'll
Yeah,
be
I will
there
definitely be
covering the
there.
event. So
And
we'll
that
we'll
is
have
the
to link up.
next. Yeah, for sure, man. And that is like the next primary focus for me. So when we're talking about what's next, like in my mind, it's like UFC Toronto.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is it 97,
Yeah,
197?
290. No, yeah, UFC 297.
297.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
290. I said 197.
Yeah.
297. Yeah, in Toronto with Garrett Armfield, we have such a cool matchup. Such a great opportunity to fight Brad Katona. Um, I think that's a really great feather in Garrett's cap. I do think it is a matchup we can win. And then I think as a coach, I'm excited to go head to head with Kavanaugh and Kavanaugh's guy, because there's a few coaches in the game I think are on their shit and that I respect and that are high level martial artists themselves. And then there's a lot of coaches in the game that I think I'm gonna swallow up. Like
Yeah.
I'm not impressed with many of them, but there are a few that I am. Mark Montoya, Faraz Sahabi, John Kavanaugh, like some of these guys, there are a lot of like very great minds in there. And so to get to go head to head with him is also a nice feather in my cap too, if we win, and I think that we will.
Love the outlook, Trey. Always good to hear from you. Glad to hear
you,
you've
bro.
kind of figured this all out, so to speak. And, like I said, you got some options here at the end. Now, in the meantime, if there's anything you want to plug before we get out of here, Marathon MMA, anything else like that, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, that's it, man. Marathon MMA. We're on the rise. We've got a great thing going. So you can check me out at marathon_MMA on Instagram. And then the gym is marathon MMA_academy on Instagram. And we're pretty active on both.